Carolina. Hi, I'm Brock Yates. I want you to understand something. Broken Plow, South Carolina is not one of the great centers of Grand National stock car racing, but it is a place you're likely to find one of its young stars. Behind me is his hunting camp, and today we're going to talk with him. One of the great drivers, Dale Earnhardt. No driver has ever achieved so much in such a short time in Grand National stock car racing. Dale Earnhardt's first full season in 1979 brought him Rookie of the Year honors. 1 year later, he made history by winning the coveted Grand National Championship, and in so doing, won more prize money, $588,000, than any driver in a single season. The son of the late, great Ralph Earnhardt, a national short track champion, Dale has earned a place among the elite of great drivers in 6 short seasons.
You know, I can't really believe that I chased you all the way to Broken Plow, South Carolina to do this.
It's a heck of a place to be, you know. We'll come down here deer hunting and it's enjoyable, but yeah, I don't reckon it's a place to spend your vacation or anything, you know.
You got a lot of property that you lease down here.
Yeah, we lease probably right at 1,000 acres of land down here. There's 18 of us in the hunt club down here, and we just come out down here and hunt when we want to, and come and go as you please.
How many days a year will you try to spend down here?
Who knows? Wife don't want me to spend that much, but we probably spend I'd say out of the 2.5, 3 months of hunting season, I spend probably a month down here.
Well, you're kind of lucky when the hunting season starts, racing starts to quiet down a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, you get some weekends off in between races at the end of the season, and it works out pretty good. You know, sometimes I think the hunting interferes with racing, and sometimes when racing interferes with hunting, so you just sort of have to work around it. I really don't worry about it. I just hunt when I can and enjoy it, you know.
If you had a choice between hunting or fishing, which would you choose? I know you fish a lot.
I've not had to put it that way yet. When the right season is around, you go hunting, and the fishing season, you know, hunting season goes out, fishing gets better. So, you know, I've not crossed that bridge yet. You know.
Hunt for deer and what else? Small game and stuff like that?
Well, I do some quail hunting sometimes and dove hunting, but mostly deer. I'm a pretty much deer hunter.
Have you ever hunted outside of the Carolinas? You ever travel, like when you're at races, do you ever go out and try to get a day hunting?
No, I've had offers to hunt in Georgia and Alabama. Matter of fact, Donnie Allison and I keep talking about coming down there and go hunting with him and everything, and we've never done it.
Donnie's a big bass fisherman, isn't he? He loves
yeah,
to
he's
fish
a largemouth fisherman, but he's also a deer hunter. He's a pretty good deer hunter, too. His boys are anyway. His boys kill the big deer.
Have you been hunting all your life? I mean, did you get into it when you were a kid?
I grew up around my dad. He was pretty big hunter, quail hunter, and he's a deer hunter and rabbit hunter ever was, and that's when I got into it. And then when he died, I really didn't bird hunt that much after that, but I did deer hunt. I've enjoyed that, and so I've stuck with it. And just, you know, it's something that I can get away from the everyday life and enjoy, and that I, you know, it's a hobby or sport or what that I do enjoy, that I can devote my time to and enjoy doing too.
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't have to think about anything other than hunting when you're out in the field.
Yeah, well, and a lot of times I can go deer hunting and sit in a deer stand and think a lot of problems that you got too. So it works two ways.
Talk to you a little bit about your dad. I know he was an enormous influence. I'd heard about your dad before I heard about you, a long time before, because he was such a great race driver himself. When did you recognize, do you have any memories of when you remember your dad as being a race driver or being different than your friends' dads?
Well, he was always a great race driver to me.
But I mean, say the neighbor down the street, his dad worked someplace else. It never
did. He was always a race driver. That's, you know, and he's always the best to me, you know. When I started driving, I always tried to pattern myself after him, how he drove and watched him, and that's how I reckon I learned how to drive, or can adapt to driving so well when I started is because I watched my dad so much in all kind of situations, and it's just really worked out good for me.
Did you go to the races a lot with your dad when you were a little kid?
Going to lay out of school, do everything he could to go to race, man. You know,
is that right?
Just everything. They'd go to Columbia, South Carolina on Thursdays back in the 60s, and I'd get sick on Thursday morning, wouldn't go to school. I wanted to go to the race, you know, so it was tough, but I got to go to a lot of it.
Is it true that your dad never did as much Grand National driving because he liked to stay near home, near his family, and didn't like to travel a lot?
Well, he was a family man, and I think, Brock, the biggest thing is he had to support his family. And, you know, he did it the best way he could, and watched his dollar pretty close. He's independent, and he's very independent. He did the best he could with what he had to do with, and he raised a family on his racing. You know, and he did a little mechanic work along, but he really just did it on racing alone.
How do you fit in with brothers and sisters still? Were you older or younger? Or?
I'm the middle man. Got 2 older sisters and 2 younger brothers. My sisters got families, and my brothers, they helped my dad on race cars and worked around there, and my youngest brother didn't that much because he was growing up at the time. But they've helped me on my cars, but they never really expressed an interest in driving that much or pursued it or anything. They might want to drive, but they have never really followed it up. You know.
There was never really in a time of your life then you didn't want to be a race driver, was there?
That's all I ever thought about was race cars. And I didn't really think about driving race cars probably till I was 18 years old. You know,
Really?
I always thought about it, but I never really pictured myself doing it. I reckon it was because my dad was such a, so active at the time, and I sort of like I was sitting in the back seat, and just never did.
Yeah, that's late.
And then all of a sudden, I said, well, I want to drive, and I got thinking about it more and more, and then I got started when I was 18. But,
where was your first race?
In Charlotte at Metrolina Speedway, and I talked to my brother-in-law into letting me drive his car. He was driving for somebody else at the time. He had a car, and I ran 10th the first race I ran. Boy, I was hooked then. It was all over with then.
How long did you race before you reckoned you were really good? I mean, that you were
I
maybe
don't know
better than the other guys.
I don't know whether I'm good yet.
No, but you had to know that you could beat guys pretty early in the going.
Well, I thought I was a Bearcat the first race, I reckon. I don't know. I never really thought about it until I started running Grand National, I reckon. I run late model sportsman with Harry Gant and Tommy Houston, all these guys when I started, and I was a learner then, it was like starting over when I went to asphalt from dirt. After my dad died, that's when I went to asphalt in '74. And it's like starting over and learning again. So I was the new guy on the block, so I sort of had to, learn again, listen. And then when I started winning a few races, and I got more confidence and more, felt like I knew what was going on asphalt. And then I got into Grand National, and I had to start over again, learning how to drive those things, and the heavier cars and everything, and race against the guys that I used to sit on the back of the truck and watch, the Pettys, the Pearsons, Allison, those guys. And after it all came about, the Allisons and the Pettys and the David Pearson, them guys is the ones that helped me along when I needed help. Those are the ones that, and when I was sitting on a truck in the infield watching them race, and when I was a kid, you would think they wouldn't have time for anybody but what they were doing. And, but, they came right up with the suggestions that, boy, you're driving the car wrong, you're going to get us all wrecked, You need to back off or do this, do that.
You came in this thing like a freight train. I mean, I can't ever remember any driver having the kind of Rookie of the Year, then Grand National Champion 2 years in a row, just bang. And you had labeled as instant superstar. Then almost it was if people expected that of you. Was it, in a way, if you could look back on it, would it have been easier for you maybe to have come a little bit slower to stardom?
Well, I think I did come slow.
Do you?
It was a situation where I ran a few races from 1975 up until 1979 in Walter Ballard's car, Ed Negree's car, just different race cars. And Johnny Ray's car in Atlanta, I crashed real bad down there in '76. It was just, and I thought I'd sort of paid my dues along. Okay. I was running my biggest thing was late model sportsman racing, and you know, I'd paid my dues in that deal, but I'd ran these other races, you know, the 600. I ran Atlanta, Rockingham, different places, and then when I got hooked up at Osterlin, everybody, all of a sudden, I was like the new kid on the block. Well, I'd been around, you know, I'd raced with Bobby Allison and these guys on short tracks and other racetracks, and so I really wasn't the new kid, you know. I really wasn't just all of a sudden I was there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd paid my dues and things, and I was fortunate, very fortunate, Brock, to get hooked up with a guy like Rod Osterlin that had a good team.
Right.
All he needed to get some combinations working right, and boy, that thing just took off. You know, we went out and won the rookie thing and won some races, and it was just amazing to me, you know. And came back the next year with. I believe that was the biggest thing that it surprised me is we won the championship the next year. I couldn't, it took me down to the last couple of races to really realize I was running for the championship. I had a real good shot at winning, and then all of a sudden, then the pressure was on. You know, all year long it was just like relaxing. I was doing what I enjoyed and wanted to do, you know. And we were winning some races, and we were leading the points, and it was just, and then all of a sudden, said, bam, I could be the champion. You know? And boy, then the pressure got on. The last 2 or 3 races, Atlanta and California, Ontario, it was tough. You know, that was the toughest time.
Let's talk a little bit about winning that championship. I mean, suddenly you're the Grand National Champion, an elite. I mean, guys seek that championship all their lives. Did that add any extra pressure to you once you'd won it? I mean, did it change your life at all once you became a champion?
It changed my life a lot. You know, I gained a lot of respect from a lot of people, and it put you in the elite bunch, you know. That, you know, I just wish, you know, some people had been around to see it, you know, like my dad and some of these people. But I really didn't let it bother me or say, well, hell, I'm the champion, or, you know, or what. You know, I sort of took it and went right on. And the next year we started having bad luck and just couldn't do nothing right. And then everybody said, oh, that was a hoax, that was a hoax. But, you know, I still went out and won that championship, you know.
Sure did.
The Osterlin team went out and won it, and they did it in style, too, you know.
Sure did. Dale, what did you know, you suddenly became a public figure. I mean, guys like me were wanting to talk to you, and you became a media person, and you had to make a more, you had to present yourself in public, but suddenly you'd been a champion, and then you were having a bad season. And what did it develop any kind of, did you have any kind of problems with the press and with people? I mean, did they treat you pretty fairly in those situations?
I think so. A couple of times, you know, you had little problems with different press guys, but I think that was the biggest thing in my racing career. It was hard. The hardest part of my racing career was the PR part, you know, the press and everything. When I first came into it with the rookie thing, everybody was eager to talk to you, and then the championship deal. Well, then when we started having bad luck, I wasn't too eager to talk to them. You know, what do you to say about blowing up 18 times or falling out of a race or crashing or ever what? You know, you know, you don't want to talk about them things.
Sure.
I think I just got not, you know, less responsive to the press. And the press sometimes say, well, Earnhardt, you know, you don't want to talk, you know, he's hard to get along with, or what. It's a lot easier to talk when you're winning races or when you're doing good, you know.
Yeah.
And when the guys that can accept the failures and come back with the press and work with the press, and I think I did that pretty well to be a rookie on the scene with the thing. And I still got a pretty good rapport with the press is the ones that's going to make the great race drivers, like the Pettys, the Allison, the guys that can take the defeat and come back and smile and take, we'll do it again next week, and then we'll get them next week. And that's what I did all year in 1981. 1982 started out with Bud Moore, and we blew up some engines and things with them, and it was pretty bad on us then, you know, pretty tough on us. But you just got to come back. You know, that's what makes a good race driver. That's what, you know, that's my career. That's what I'm going to do. I want to protect it, and I want to do the best in it. And you got to come back every time, positive, every time. and do what you want to do.
I think you're as, among all the great drivers, that you're as devoted to the sport as anybody. I mean, you love racing. I know that you love racing. You do it before anything. How many races would you run a year if you had your choice? Would you run once a week if you could?
Yeah, probably. If I had my choice and had good race cars and the backing and everything to develop what I want to do now. I've got not much interest in going to a racetrack and not having a good chance at winning. If I don't think I got a good chance at winning, I don't want to be there. You know, and every time I go to a racetrack, I feel like I got a shot at winning a race. So, you know, I got a shot at winning a race, I'm going to, you know, do my best. But, you know, I'd race all the time if I felt like I could win a race or if I had a good shot at doing it.
Are you running any short track races other nowadays instead of Grand National cars?
I ran a few asphalt late model sportsman races this year, and I've got a dirt car I run some. That my dirt car is owned by myself, and Donnie Reed's a real close friend of mine. I think he's one of the best friends I've got. And we just go run the car when we want to, when we feel relaxed with doing it. You know, we don't tell anybody we're coming, so we're not paid to come. And the other competitors think, you know, they hold a grudge against you because you're paid more money than they are to even win the race. We just come in and race. We're just, all of a sudden we're there and we're racing, and you get along with them real fine.
Sure.
I enjoy it. I enjoy that kind of racing.
Tell me about your daughter Kelly and Dale Jr. I know they're big parts of your life.
I'm the family man now. I'll tell you, they're the biggest part of my life right now. Them and my wife Teresa. They made a big difference in my life when they came and started living with me. You know, my ex-wife had them, and when I got custody of them, they came and started living with me. It just really changed things.
It did?
Yeah.
In what way?
I reckon it matured me. You know, I stopped just not worrying about what I was doing and where I was going, and started worrying about it. Started realizing, you know, I've got to, it's hard to really explain. It gives you a meaning in life other than what you like to do. You know?
Sure.
A reason in life. And they're great kids. They've, you know, have done so well with them. And Teresa, my wife, has really done a good job with them. They all get along good. It's just, you know, an ideal situation.
Can you see Dale Jr. as being a race driver someday?
He loves cars. I mean, you know, he's crazy about cars right now, but I'm going to let him sort of fill it out and do what he wants. My dad never did promote racing to me. And matter of fact, he really just sort of played it down. And he never did say, you know, we'll build a race car or when you want to or anything like that. But when I went out and talked to David about driving his race car and talked him into letting me drive it. And once I got started, then my dad, he started helping me a little.
Is that right?
So then went to some other guys. When David started driving his car again, I went to another guy and started driving his. And Dad helped him with the car, you know, help us set the car up and things like that. Once he seen I was going to do it, then he helped. I think that's what I do with Dale. And if he wants to race bad enough, he'll show the interest and do it. I'm not going to push him into it and then try to make him interested in it. Okay. And I think that's what would make the difference in a good race driver and a bad race driver. Is a driver that wants to get out there and drives way over his head and crashes every lap. You can talk to him a little and make a good driver out of him. But if one you have to push to get out there and drive, he's not going to make a good driver. So he'll have to do it himself, every what he does. You know. I'll be behind him every what he wants to do.
Good things have happened financially. I mean, you're doing well now. Did you ever think that racing would be this lucrative for you when you started?
Never thought about it. When I was racing sportsman, I always had enough money to run my car, and I'd turn my money over. I was in debt probably a good bit, but as long as I could turn my money over, I really never worried about it. I got into Grand National racing, and when I first got into it, I didn't even think about the money we were winning. Even when we won the championship, we won like $588,000 that year. You know, it never did dawn on me what I was doing. And now, I reckon when I got the kids and my family going now like I have, I started thinking about the future. Now I'm started thinking about the financial end of it and trying to invest right and do the right things with your money. You do look at the dollar now more than you did, and negotiate and you deal with the car owner or the sponsor or what. You've got to capitalize on it, I reckon. I realize that you've got to capitalize on what you've got now for the future, and that's the biggest thing with it now.
It must be encouraging for you to know that Grand National Racing is at a state now where a man can go on till late 40s, early 50s maybe. So you got a long career.
It's always been that way. A good driver, if he keeps his health up and keeps his mind in the right place, you know, can go 45, 50 years old probably, you know, if he's healthy. But I want to drive a race car as long as I want to do it, and I can do it physically. I think when I start not wanting to go to the racetrack or start crawling a race car, and boy, I dread this. You know, that's when I'll probably quit. Or I'll
when you're
find
thinking
something
about Broken Plow, South
yeah.
Carolina, more you're thinking about Darlington, South Carolina.
You know, it's funny to me, on race day, there's nothing else on my mind. I'm just pumped up doing that race. And all through the week practicing, I really can't get anything. I go out and practice, I'm into it, but as far as just the week drags on, those practice days and while you're at the racetrack, it's just like burning up time, you know? The only good time is when you're in that race car.
The old green flag drop,
Yeah.
and it's a whole different
It's all
game.
over with then, yeah.
Hey, thanks for sitting down and talking with us. We really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it.
I'm going to come back to the old Broken Plow. Maybe we can go.
Well, I'll be
shoot
here,
again.
I guarantee you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Brock.
it. Thank you. Thanks for joining us on The Great Drivers.